I think we are live. Good day, everyone, and good evening, wherever the time zone that you're located in. I hope you're having a great 2024 so far. Welcome to the panel discussion of our very first edition of Spartan Summit. Today, we have gathered here to talk about future of testing, the impact of AI in quality assurance and beyond. So, I'm Priscilla, your host and moderator for this insightful conversation. I work as a team lead for Millennium IT Services Malaysia. Today, we have gathered some of the brightest minds in the industry to delve into this fascinating topic. With the rapid advancements in technology, particularly around artificial intelligence, the quality assurance landscape is profoundly transforming. We know that it's been evolving continuously, right? So, our panelists bring a wealth of experience and expertise to shed light on the implications, challenges, and opportunities that lie ahead. So let's get right into it, and let me introduce you to the panelists for this discussion. So we have today with us Ibironke, test team lead at Symphony Solutions. Ibironke has years of experience leading testing teams and implementing cutting-edge QA practices. Hello. And next we have Mahathee, project lead quality at Persistent Systems. Mahathie's extensive background in quality management and project leadership makes her a valuable voice in today's discussion. And then next, it's Naveen, the founder of Naveen Automation Labs. Naveen is renowned for his expertise in test automation and is a thought leader in the field of software testing. Next up, we have Parveen Khan, quality practice lead at CFC. Parveen's passion for quality, excellence, and her strategic insights have made her a driving force in shaping quality practices within her organization. And last, we have Steve, the director of QA at Plexus Worldwide. With his extensive experience in quality assurance and leadership, Steve brings invaluable perspectives to our discussion today. Our panelists represent a diverse range of perspectives and experiences, all weighing in on their opinions and experiences for the future of testing in the era of AI. So let's dive into our discussion and explore the exciting possibilities that lie ahead. So we have the list of questions, and we'll just go ahead and ask our panelists. And I'm really excited and I'm so interested to hear their insights around this interesting topic. And to start off with, I know that there are a lot of hype happening in AI for the past few years, right? So, how do you foresee the evolution of software testing in the upcoming years with the continued integration of AI technologies? So, maybe Ibronke, you can start off with. We would love to hear from you.
All right, thank you. Nice to be here, everyone. For me, I would say some of the ways I think that this would ev- um, evolve over time in the next year is we would be able to use AI to create intelligent test prioritization. We'll be able to use it to make predictive analysis in terms of um, predicting code changes, right? Rather than waiting to when test has already been done before we do another test, before we see what needs to change. So be able to analyze code changes, predict potential failures, which something like SonarQube currently do today, but it is at the end of the code, right? But I believe that AI will evolve to that point where we can predict, areas of failures ahead and instability in softwares. I also think that it could also involve to automated test generation tools. Yes, I know that that's one of the areas where documentation is quite a lot of time. So I'm looking forward to when it will evolve to when we can have tests, automated tests generated automatically, which happens to be one of the projects I work on at my MSc, but with an integration of security where automation test scripts were automatically generated with the help of AI. More of I would say behavior driven tests, which we have today, but AI would help to assist in generating and validating these behavior driven tests by analyzing the user story, the acceptance criteria, and then using that to create something that meets both the functionality and users' expectation. So I see AI evolve to much more of this, different angles of testing on the long run. Thank
Wonderful,
you.
wonderful. Thank you so much. Naveen, do you have something to add to what she said?
Yeah, I think especially from last 6 months and 1 year, I'm personally see that a lot of tools are there in the market, which is like promoting AI, implementing the AI features in their testing suite and in their tools also. Like couple of examples, like I just was doing some POC Playwright Auto. You just give a
Mm,
prompt on the registration page, it will automatically fill the form, and you don't need to write any locators or anything. Just simple write a prompt, fill the registration form with the right data,
mm,
with the right set of data, and it will immediately
mm,
fill the data and click on submit and validate that.
mm,
So things like libraries like Playwright and these things are using these kind of features, which is
mm,
automatically,
mm.
filling the form, doing the scenarios like add to
Right.
cart, make the payment, and everything. And you don't need any, the specific programming knowledge for that. You just need to
Mm,
have the best prompt engineering. You get provide the solution for that, and then
mm,
get the things out of it. Tools like Reflect
mm,
is there, and Test
mm,
Trigger is there. I have been
mm,
giving pose with the Test Trigger and then Reflect. Exactly same thing, auto discovery scenarios. So I think the
mm,
future will be more on the, improving the test cases, the kind of test cases that we are designing, more and more complex and edge cases that we can design with the AI. Second thing is as a test data generation point of view also, this is like really helpful, especially in the a large set of data we really want to generate, the performance testing and the load testing point of view as well. Plus the
mm,
auto discovery, as Ibironke mentioned, that auto discovery of the BDD scenarios on the basis of the acceptance criteria.
mm.
Just give the acceptance
Yeah.
criteria and give the URL with the Dell E technology in the Chat GPT 4.5. You can just easily
Mm,
generate all the manual and automation test cases within a second, generate all the
mm,
Gherkin files, feature files, and everything. So it is saving a lot of
mm.
time. I think it's in a really good way. I will take it, and the impact of the AI is good and
Okay.
bad. Maybe in upcoming questions, I'll take the disadvantages of the AI also and the impact of the AI also. And definitely, we'll talk about it.
That's nice. That's nice. So starting from the predictive analysis, like till test case generation and test data generation, there are a lot of areas that we are seeing the upcoming evolvements, right? That's nice. So, and when it comes to the technologies, like what emerging AI technologies or approaches do you believe like will have most significant impact on the future of testing? Like when it comes to specifically to software testing, like other than the ones which we mentioned before, like what do you see like as a role of software tester? And when it comes to specifically to software testing, what do you think the significant impact that will have in the future? We can just go with everyone. Maybe Parveen, you can start.
Yeah, thank you. Um, yeah, I think with AI, I do feel very similar, kind of like, wave across when it was test automation, right? Like when
Mm,
it came to test automation, it was more around initially was like a bit of fear, and then how do we adapt it and how do we make use of it, how do we leverage it basically. So that was the
mm,
whole thing, right? So I do
mm,
see the similar thing with AI, like how the skill set around how do we make use of AI. Like, it's not about
mm,
thinking about how can it replace us, but how do we make
mm,
use of AI,
mm,
especially around, maybe it could be, again, it depends on a lot of context and the type of product that you're working on, with a lot of
mm,
risks, right? We know, like, AI,
mm,
it's not about just
mm,
good things, but some of the risks as well, with something around security and stuff. So I think our role will become more around how do we make use of those tools,
mm,
because again, it's two streams, right? One is AI within the tools, and one is AI,
mm,
how do you make use of tools to help yourself, like, in testing,
mm,
right? So it's
mm,
about
mm,
how do you use that. I see it as like, how can I use test AI as my test buddy, where I can use promptly to create some test data generation, or maybe test scenarios, like, or some
mm,
kind of brainstorming. And at the same time, when it comes to tools, like, I think as a software tester, I need to become more aware of, like, how can I use that, how can I debug, where can I use those technology. I think similarly with automation, how do you upskill yourself, which programming language, which tool. I think it's similarly with AI. I feel like our roles are going to be more emerging around picking up which areas are more you're passionate about, like, around
mm.
data or around tool itself. So I think it depends, like, I think pretty much evolving around those side of things as a software tester.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Maybe Steve, we would love to hear your thoughts as well.
Yeah, so kind of springboard off that a little bit. I think some of the areas, so you mentioned some really good pros and cons to using AI. I think fundamentally, we have to make sure that people understand how to leverage it appropriately. To that
Mm,
very point, I've had individuals who've used something like ChatGPT to
mm,
try to start understanding the fundamentals of what they do or how they automate or how they write tests
mm,
in whatever language they're using. And then I've had other individuals who learned how to leverage it for their benefit in that they're able to provide a lot more documentation through
mm,
a tool like ChatGPT without necessarily giving up their fundamental knowledge, right? They're
mm.
using it to enhance what
Right.
they're already good at and maybe something they don't particularly like doing, like, yeah, because we
Mm,
all love documentation so
mm,
much,
mm,
right?
mm, mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
so they were able to leverage that tool to help
Mm,
supplement something they're already amazing at versus former example where somebody was just trying to get around not knowing what they
mm,
were doing.
mm. You're right. You're
Just
right. Thank you.
things to be aware of when leveraging these tools.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Steve. And I think that's an important skill that we all should learn about this, leveraging the AI tools for our daily usage or for your test usage, however it is. And yeah, Naveen, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you, Steve. Like leveraging
Mm,
your automation and take the help from the chat GPT. I think your
mm,
main target should be, the repetitive task, repetitive code generation that you are doing regularly. And if you're already having the expertise, and I know that I can
mm,
easily save my time, that could
mm,
be like chat GPT or AI could be my test buddy and then get the quick things from there and then implement in my framework or test case designing and everything. But other
mm,
than that, we should understand we
mm,
should not be reluctant towards the technology. I think we have to
mm,
adopt it, and
mm,
we really need to know the basic fundamentals of AI and ML, the machine
mm,
learning, because you
mm,
never know after few years, after 2 3 years, you have to design a specific tool or you have to contribute for that tool which is supporting AI, and you are designing some AI based tools also. So if your fundamentals are good, just like we started with
mm,
the test automation also, how exactly
mm,
ML work, how exactly data analytics, history of
mm,
data, how to
mm.
train the system and everything with the AI. And then
Mm,
on the basis of that, if we are a lot, we are learning and improving these things, and definitely it will help us a lot in
mm.
the future of the testing and the implementation of the right test automation and the tools as well.
You're right, Naveen. But what we as testers are thinking, like most of the time, we
Hmm.
directly jump and work with the tools instead of learning the basics very strongly, right? And then
Correct.
instead of knowing the terms and learning about like deeper into prompt engineering, directly we start with the tool. It's not like other exploring tools, I believe. When it comes to AI, as you said, like the basic knowledge of AI, machine learning, and data science is much more needed. It's not just because a tester it's not needed for you, it's not that case. I think those era has been gone, like tester doesn't need that language or doesn't need that knowledge. I think it's no more. Everybody has to learn everything in this world of technology, right? So you're so true about it. Like the basics, it plays a very important role. And even when they are going to test the application or whether they are going to make use of AI applications, I believe either ways, the basic knowledge of AI is going to help them in future. Like, yeah, Ibronki, do you have something to add here?
I think it has really been covered. I would say that challenges that I could mention is maybe because I'm more of security, I would say
Mm,
in terms of regulatory, right?
okay.
Um, because we are trying to use AI to get things done faster, we are
Yeah.
also trying to, we are unconsciously breaking some regulatories.
Okay.
Um, I see people just copy and
Mm,
just paste, right?
mm,
And these things are punishable offense. And
right.
companies don't even want you to carry out the application on, a free open source tools without necessarily doing your due diligence. So I think issues on regulatory would be more,
Mm,
but as testers, which I think Naveen and Steve rightly mentioned, it's something that you should know testing beyond any other tools. The understanding
okay.
of testing, the understanding of automation beyond tools should be more, so that
Mm,
when you are falling out of, I call it out of lane, when you're falling out of lane and
mm.
making most of these errors, you can actually put yourself in check. Yeah, so I think that's just basically what I'll add to it.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So I know, like, we were talking so much about AI. So other than AI or beyond AI, what do you think are the critical skills and tools that, especially all the testing professionals, should focus in 2024? Like, Steve, would you like to start?
Once the mute button is found, absolutely. So this is something I like to talk about quite a bit because some of the intangibles, right? So while AI is a great tool, it doesn't take away from some of the softer skills that people need to really work on to be successful in what they're doing. So analytical skills, reporting skills, communication skills are all necessary and needed in order to even get to the point where you can leverage some of these additional AI tools, because you have to get the company on board. I think there was a question in the general comments about this, actually. So if I may, I think it was Oswin. So I'll respond directly to that question around, losing work because of AI, et cetera. And there was other questions around how do we get more management involved or understand the necessity for these things. And it comes down to these softer skills, the ability to analyze what you have in place now and truly do either a market analysis or analysis on the tools that you're using and what could be leveraged better, and then be able to sell the idea of the ROI. If you're switching tooling or you need additional tooling to be more efficient in your job,
Mm.
how do you make that case? And that ties into the communication, right? You have to be able to talk to your upper management and really sell the story as to what this brings not only to you, but to them. So if I were to go into upper management and say, hey, I want this tool because it's really cool, that doesn't really sell the story as to how it benefits
Yeah.
anybody other than me. Now, if I go into the same meeting and I explain, it takes us, if I have the data to support it and the analytics behind it, it takes us multiple days in a sprint to write automation. It is then brittle because it's UI specific. So a lot of locators break very often. We're spending a ton of time checking false positives because either the container or the automation suite ran too fast, right? And my
Mm.
locators didn't load, or they broke, they changed briefly. Okay. And this is where we can leverage AI to self-heal, right? So how do we build that story and then say, look, by getting this tooling, I can spend more time adding to code coverage instead of constantly fixing the old. And I think those are the skills that really need to be worked on holistically for everybody on how to communicate upward and understand what they're really driving towards.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
make the point for, we need this because X, Y, and Z are going to happen. You'll get more out of us by taking on these tools. So,
You're right.
and again, the original question, those are some of the skills that really need to be worked on. And the last part to that is reporting. How do you report
Okay.
concise, fast information back to
Mm.
the team and upward, right? It's not just about the upper management. It's also about the teams that you're supporting. If your
Mm.
development teams aren't aware that they broke something, by
Mm.
the time you get that feedback loop back to them, you're already either out of sprint or they're already having a context switch because they're on to the next thing. So how do we get that feedback loop faster and iterate back through a reporting mechanism that is concise, quick, and immediate? And those are
Yes.
additional skills.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. So obviously these are like mandatory skills. Like we all have to work on 2024, along with learning the basics of AI. So, and when it comes to the capabilities, like how do you balance the capabilities of AI with the need of human expertise? Like when we, of course, we couldn't compare, right? That's why it is always called as artificial intelligence. In especially when it comes to testing scenarios and in complex project, like how do you balance the capabilities of AI with the human insights or the human superpower? Like how do you think that we can balance it? I would like
To
to
one of the
go.
other
Yeah,
panelists.
go ahead. Steve, you want to go? Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll pass that to one of the other panelists for this one.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, maybe Parveen, you can add your thoughts here.
Yeah, I can go for it.
Mm.
So yeah, I think again I'm going to take this example of test automation, right? When it
Mm.
comes to balancing, right?
Mm.
The way I see it as like the way we can balance is like the way we use test automation is to help, so that it can help us, right? It can help us to do more critical thinking, more exploratory side of testing, and doing a bit more, making use of our critical thinking around product, improving product quality, right? So similarly, I see that again, when it comes to AI, right, there's a lot that we need to, when it comes to adapting to a product in a company, I think it's still a quite a long time to go yet, because there are very few tools. There are quite a lot of tools, but I think it's more around, you just can't get the tool and start using it. It's more around, you need to, who like your team, right? Whoever is going to use
Mm,
it, it has to be more like, you need to train, you need to learn first, you need to train
mm,
them, and
mm,
then think about where can you use that tool on the product that you have, right? Like,
mm,
just like doing like how you would work with test automation, right? Like, you would use that for repetitive tasks that just needs, you can, like, make use of the time, right? Similarly, I see that any tools that are AI focused, right? So I
mm,
see those as more, how can we use that to balance, pretty much both, like, and not just say that we just got, kind of a tool, and like maybe that's something that we don't need to do any more testing, or we need to, remove some of the testers, or
mm,
it is nothing on those lines. So I think that that's the balance that we need to have, thinking that where can we use on the product, and what tool can we use, and how can we use on what, like, whether it's
mm,
regression, whether it's test data generation, whether it's like test management, or what areas can you make use of AI in terms of
mm,
testing, so that it can help your testers
mm.
to use their critical thinking and their other side of expertise into the improving the product quality. And that's how I
Okay.
kind of see as balancing.
Okay, perfect. So we have to weigh in the areas like where we can actually implement the AI instead of thinking about always replacing the testers and all those things. Yeah, you're certainly right. Yeah. Naveen, we would love to hear from you also.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I totally agree with Parveen that the
Mm,
same scenario, like a lot of people say that test automation will replace human testers or the human touch. Because see, try to understand, you cannot automate everything with the specific tool. Same thing with the AI also. The
mm,
human touch, the moral support, and then the moral framework it's needed that comes along with the
mm,
human body. The
mm,
creativity, way we are testing, the exploratory testing, the ethical testing that we are doing, that
mm,
AI maybe somewhere cannot do that. To take an
mm,
example of some very complex, user behavior scenarios where you have to do a lot of permutation combination, you have to discuss with the stakeholders. Your AI tool
mm.
cannot talk to the stakeholders and get the requirement from the client and the customers. And you
Exactly.
have to give your testing mindset, the craftsmanship that we learn from the testing. That is what you have to implement. AI is
Mm,
just a robot. It's just a, I would say, just a program which is helping me to enhance my testing activities, maybe in the form of
mm,
defect logging or test case generation or
mm,
test data generation and all those things. But the human touch will be there forever. You cannot
mm.
replace
Correct.
manual testing. Generally, we say that the manual testing or
Yeah.
function testing, we cannot replace with the AI or with any kind of automation or automation bots or something like this. It's absolutely
Okay.
needed. Use your creativity. Do not,
Mm,
demonize actual testing concepts or testers. It's
mm,
to I literally laugh when I see any post on LinkedIn or any social media that AI is
mm,
coming and it's gonna replace the human testers or
mm, mm.
testers community and everything, tester community in the pain, and then it will vanish all the jobs. I was in
Exactly.
fact, reading one article also in one of the newspaper, and I was like literally laughing
Mm,
that these
mm,
guys have no idea that how exactly a tester actually testing the application. The testing is the
mm,
most
mm.
complex activity in the entire software life cycle. It's not an easy
Yes.
job. You need to put your experience, your testing ideas, creativity, and everything. So I think the human touch, the balance with the AI and the technologies is very much needed. It's not like for next 7 days I'm going to perform everything manually. If you can leverage
Mm.
your automation or the AI and the tools which is helping me to improve the productivity, and it's all about the competition
Exactly.
market where people and the customer is waiting for the bug releases. I mean, the releases, bug fixes, and everything. I can
Mm.
definitely save a lot of manual efforts and everything over there. So I think learn the right
Exactly.
set of tools and technologies with the testing mindset, which is very much needed.
Great, great. Thank you, Naveen. So, as we both were mentioning, like AI is not only testing right now; it is even writing code. So we cannot go and say like it is going to replace developers one day, or either one day it is going to like replace a product owner, or one day finally a CEO. I think people might talk crazy, and sometime we might even hear these sort of statements around like maybe just think about a situation like where AI is running a company, like it's being a CEO, like where is the empathy, like where is the real, as you're mentioning, the human touch, like we'll miss all those things, right? So I believe this is just a kind of trend which is usually coming and going, so we're all here to stay every time, and it's just a wave and a trend, I always believe. And okay, so moving on to the next question, from an AI adoption point of view, like I know, like specifically when we are adopting AI or AI related tools for testing, what are the challenges that you have personally faced, and what do you think will be the steps that you can do to overcome them? Like, Ibronke, do you have something to add here?
Okay. I would say the first problem that I've encountered is data quality and
Okay.
availability. Um, AI requires large amount of high quality data, and you need
Mm-hmm.
to train it effectively.
Mm-hmm.
However, organizations will possibly face challenges in sourcing for those large data, cleaning them, labeling them
Mm-hmm.
for the training of that AI model, and that can be very exhausting, time consuming, and um, it can take longer even before the implementation or the usage of it. So I would say the first one is data quality and availability of them is one that I have personally faced within my team. I would also say, um, like I mentioned earlier, ethical and regulatory considerations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, testing
Mm-hmm.
solutions raises a lot of ethical problems
Mm-hmm.
related to privacy, related to bias, fairness, accountability. I sort of asked AI a question about myself, and I was
Mm-hmm.
surprised about the information I got. So um, these are the issues that would face. If we are to use it effectively, then it has to be thoroughly trained, and it can take a lot of time. I think the third one would just be integrating it with existing
Mm-hmm.
chain within the team. So the tool that you currently have within your team, and then you're trying to integrate AI to them, can be challenging, particularly in
Mm-hmm.
organizations that has legend application or legend code base, different software development environment. It can be quite complex if you are trying to integrate AI into them. Not to say it's not possible with time if it is being trained in real world scenarios. Yeah, maybe it can be all adopted, but it can be challenging to have that. So I would say just those three things is what I would mention. Like I
Okay.
said, training
Mm.
these AI models would help to overcome them. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Data quality and data privacy are one of the topmost topics that we have to consider when we are thinking about adopting AI specifically, right? When we were talk, but I believe many countries and many organizations started thinking about this ethical driven practices when it comes to AI. That is a good change, and I'm seeing a lot of even a lot of legal laws are being also passed when it comes to implementation of AI tools, because the data is being misused in some other way. And when you mentioned about bias, yeah, even that was also hitting my brain. I believe it's all about historical data, right? Like only based on the data which is being fed to the system is also being biased right now. So I believe it's high time that the society has to
Yeah.
think about removing the bias, right? So once we as a
Yeah.
community start thinking about removing the bias, and once we acknowledge the bias, I believe like in maybe 20 years down later, like the AI systems will also have a good data, as you mentioned, like all the cleaned up data, and we might avoid the bias in that sort of data. Because when we are asked to think about a CEO, obviously we'll think a male figure, right? So it's kind of which we it's being attached to us. I believe it's high time that we all should work on the biasing part of us. It's natural. It's not something that we have to feel so bad about it. We all have biases, but we all have to start working about it, right? That was interesting.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Mahati, do you have something to add about when it comes to specifically the challenges, or what do you think, any of the disadvantages that you have the AI system adoptions?
I don't say disadvantages, but specifically when it comes to challenges, I would
Mm,
say from which point you should start learning AI is a major confusion which testers are facing as of now. And also with the number of tools in market, every tool claims to have a AI based integration. That is
mm,
also one more whether the tool really has it or not, we cannot really say
mm,
until we have used it totally. Till now, my experience has been only good with respect to Reflect, as Naveen mentioned, and I'm yet to try Test Trigger and all the other tools. So, in and the other speakers have been saying that replacing threat and how to adopt AI to your context is also a big challenge because organizations feel, even in interviewing, for example, when I take interviews, nobody asks about AI, AI related. They just
mm,
ask, you have a knowledge of generative AI. Okay,
mm,
if there's a situation, can you use it to your context? And we
mm.
can't use every solution to solve every problem. So, this is my perspective.
You're right. You're right. Thank you. Thank you so much for adding your thoughts, Mahati. And Naveen, do you have anything to mention about the challenges and the disadvantages here?
See, the major problem is the inference, like
Mm.
uh, too much copy pasting from the the these tools. In fact, I was giving the code, I mean, training for one of the company in Dubai, and then we
Mm,
were working with the Cypress automation tool, and I was
mm,
reviewing their the repositories and the PRs and everything.
mm.
And everyone, it clearly looks like the copy pasted from the chat GPT and the code and then merging the code. In fact, when I was compiling the code, also a lot of errors and a lot of missing things. In fact, people
Mm.
just directly copy paste the thing and then paste it in their editor and then executing it. And we found that that method, the class itself is not available in that library. And then
Okay.
we just get into the loop and then just trying to fix it again, a new prompt, again a new false information, again a new prompt, a new different method or some different things. And
Mm,
totally surprising sometimes, because I think the
mm,
data is still immature, the model is
mm,
still not matured enough. It's still
mm,
having
mm,
some old data, maybe April 2023 with the chat GPT-4. I was looking into their documentation also. Plus, there's still a
mm.
lot of things are required, need to be improved with respect to libraries and everything and code generation part. So that was like really frustrating sometimes. But
Mm,
in fact, I was talking to one of my old friends also in my previous companies where everyone is raising the PR with the chat GPT code. And in fact, especially with the freshers coming and
mm,
then writing some very complex code, generating the things from there, and then copy pasting and here and there, not even changing the variable name and other things as well, and then just directly
mm,
copy pasting, and then without proper testing and everything, they are merging the code and raising the PR for that. So that was
mm,
like I think the knowledge, the KT, and when to use and when not to use, when to avoid. That is the
mm,
major thing.
mm,
Plus,
mm.
again, with respect to functional testing, also that the way we are generating the test cases and the corner cases, I think we can do it. Some Dell E APIs are available with the Chat GPT-4, and then we can leverage those, like fixing the element locators and everything. I think Selectors Hub is also using it, and
Mm,
Selenium is also doing some LLM model over there.
mm,
Those
mm.
things are really good use cases for the I mean, for the AI point of view. But the
Okay.
challenge is like getting the copy paste content from there, and then and
Mm,
that is not going to help. We have to do experiment. We have to write the
mm.
code. We have to check our code. We have to write the UTs and SITs and everything, and then we have to make sure
Okay.
that it's all about the code is going to the production, and then if user is facing some challenges over there, and that will
Mm,
be a disaster. So I think we have to
okay.
take care about it. And this is the main thing that I actually observed in
Mm,
the current
okay.
trend.
Okay. Yeah, you're so right. And when it comes to the next question, like how do you think like AI can contribute to the adaptability of the test scripts, especially in the dynamic software environments, to reduce maintenance overhead and improve script robustness? Because that is one thing which we always face, right? Like the flakiness or something which is happening very frequently. There is a very frequent build is happening. So obviously, then you have to update your automation script, right? So Do you think there is an opportunity for AI, like where there is an area like AI tools could help you in that area? Maybe,
So I
yeah.
think
Yeah,
going
go
to
ahead. Hmm.
one point on this point, because
Hmm.
I was doing a couple of POCs. I found one of the tool
Hmm.
like the C Lights. It's
Hmm.
contains integration tool which can be integrated with the CI/CD with the Jenkins, and you
Okay.
just need to download their agent, and
Okay.
you can just deploy that agent on your Tomcat server, and then it will analyze the entire code coverage and everything. It will analyze that where exactly the problem with the UTs, where exactly the UTs are missing after bug changes or any new changes are happening because of the code fixes and everything. It will tell you this is the impacted area, so you can save some time
Oh,
over there instead of doing the complete regression. So it will be really
okay.
helpful for the developers point of view, where they are integrating with the C Lights and giving the complete the overall picture of traceability matrix and everything. A lot of matrices they are generating. End of the day, they
Hmm.
are releasing the after every release and after every cycle, they are generating some reports also. Publishing, you can
Okay.
publish those reports on the Slack channel and everything, and it can be integrated with the main Jenkins pipeline as well, which is giving the
Okay.
complete impact of the UTs, how exactly healthy test cases or good coverage test cases that you have written. So just
Okay.
explore this tool, like to the audience also. I would say C Lights, SEA Lights. So I was doing some POC on that because one of my previous
Okay.
companies they were using it, so I was thought of doing some POC on that.
Okay, that's interesting, Naveen. You're right, because that will save a lot of headache, right? If it is able to find the vulnerable area,
Exactly.
obviously it will definitely help us in a very good way. Like, yeah. Uh, who wants to add to Naveen's thought when it specifically comes to the adaptability of test scripts?
Getting a little bit there.
Okay, so
Yes.
just to add,
Go ahead.
all right, I would
Ibironke, you can go
say,
ahead. Yeah,
all right, can you hear me?
yeah, we can go ahead, please.
Awesome. Okay, so I would say in the scripting of test automation itself, I would say we should um, adopt more dynamic element locators other
Mm-hmm.
than the I see in some scripts that it is just like a very fixed element locator without making it dynamic. So I would say
Okay.
using a dynamic element locators I tried that and it helps.
Mm-hmm.
The help of AI, one of the things I know AI can help do with feeding into machine learning is that it can help you generate dynamic, data. However, it means that your element locator also has to be very dynamic enough to the changes that is
Okay.
happening. So you don't have to keep going back to doing a lot of things. There's a lot of things that people do manually within automation tests today. Um, we should also do things called, we call it context aware testing. What
Okay.
context aware testing does is that with the help of AI, you can analyze the context in which the text is being executed, including the user interaction, including the system state. I've used some UI automation tools, and it's difficult because it is not contextualized. It's a way I see we predict this is the way the user would do it, and that is the way we
Mm-hmm.
want to write our automation test. And we just write automation tests based on that user flow rather than making it context based on there are different ways user can interact with an application, different system states, different interaction, different environment conditions. In a situation where, as of today, there are some features that works effectively fine on Chrome browser, but they are
Okay.
not really that effective on Firefox, for example. How do you ensure that your test does not fail because that feature is not available on Firefox? How do you make that context awareness, kind of test scripts to ensure that, in the absence of this feature, what should happen?
Mhm. Okay.
Um, I think, there's so much more we can think about. Predictive analysis, we can think about natural learning processing, we can think about force testing, right? So yeah, these are areas I know that we can improve on,
Mm.
especially if we want to go into adaptability of test scripts in a very dynamic software environment. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Ibironke. Yeah, over to you, Steve.
Yeah, I was actually gonna piggyback a little bit. One, I think Ibranki just did a really good plug for Lambda test with cross-browser testing, so
Mm,
inadvertently, well done. As for adding to Naveen's comments, actually, I think we're really spot on. And to kind of elaborate a little bit more there, if I may, aside from some of those topics, I think test execution or code execution would be really
mm,
valuable. And this is where AI, I think, can add a lot of value, including some machine learning, right? Understanding analytics around what the customer base is actually using on that code
mm,
base, depending if your application is customer facing or not. Are
mm,
you testing, are we, the organization, testing the right amount comparative to what's being executed? Are we
mm,
executing code blocks holistically that have a high utilization rate across actual usage outside? And I think
mm,
that's where we get a lot of value as well. In addition to that, I think from a testing perspective, we could get a lot of
mm,
value from um, analytics with AI on, when I say test coverage, I'll add a little there. How many times has a test run in your organization, in your suite, that has never failed once in its entirety? Is that test still worthy of being run? And what kind
mm,
of analytics are being done around that? Should those
mm,
be deprecated? Are they needed any longer? Is that such a well-baked area of application or
mm.
code that doesn't require the same amount of testing anymore? And should we spend our efforts elsewhere? I think are some really big advantages of generative AI in the future.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for adding your thoughts, Steve. And yet, and moving on to the next question, based on your personal and professional experience, can you share some concrete examples of how AI has tangibly improved the efficiency, accuracy, or innovation in your overall testing process? Naveen, can you please start with this?
So, frankly speaking, on a very honest note, most of the time we have done the POCs because it's something very
Mm,
new. I have
mm,
seen that it's not about the only testing the overall software development lifecycle, also adopting the AI at different
mm,
level. I've seen tools like C-Lights and continuous integration with
mm,
the DevOps activities also. So a lot of AI, I mean, somewhere AI things are happening. People are experimenting it, doing some POCs, and getting good results also. And
mm,
internally, people are using some NPM and LLM models also just to train the
mm,
system. And
mm,
there are a lot of cloud services also which is available. They are supporting the the AI based deployment and CI/CD servers, continuous integrations, and everything. So
mm,
somewhere the DevOps team also and the dev team also, they started adopting it. For the testing point of view, I have seen few tools like Playwright with Auto Playwright. Just give them the
mm,
prompt activities and then automatically, it will fill the prompt. This is one of the areas. Second thing is
okay.
that test data generation, but making
Mm,
sure that you are, all the ethical data and the compliances,
mm,
and then
mm,
especially with the very sensitive models or very sensitive applications like healthcare domain or banking
mm,
application or fintech where they strictly not allowed to use it. And
mm,
somewhere I have seen tools like, especially with the codeless automation tool, a lot of activities are happening with respect to AI,
mm.
like test trigger,
Okay.
test IO, reflect. These people are using it. Prompt engineering, especially, that they are using on the basis of that,
Mm,
implementing the AI models. And practically, I have seen these things. And Selenium is a very good tool. Apply tools also, they are doing some AI processing to compare the visual testing and the AI images comparisons. That also
okay.
frequently I have used in my previous projects. And the
Mm,
testing IO also, which is another paid tool, which is also very
mm,
popular, and which is doing the any fixes with respect to UI locators or any changes or any, let's see, one element shifted from this div to another div. So they are doing some AI complexity over there, and then on the basis of their parent or ancestors in the DOM, automatically fixing the locator within the script only. So
mm,
those scenarios, or I mean, things also have changed where the minimal amount of the maintenance that we have to do with the respect to test
okay.
script. So these kind of
Okay.
practical things that personally I have seen.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Naveen, thank you so much. So, Parveen, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, not much I can say because I've yet to experience how it is more efficient in terms of like making use of AI. Apart from one tool that I came across, which I've used on one of my client previously, it was
Mm.
Apply Tools, which was for
Mm-hmm.
more like visual testing. Again, that's
Visual
where it
testing,
comes, right?
exactly. Okay.
Which areas do you want to like? Yeah, I think it is more around you can make use of it on different areas, right? So I think
Mm. Mm.
I really wanted to use one of the AI tool for test
Mm.
case, test, not exactly test case generation, but some sort of
Mm.
help. But I think, again, when it comes to that, I realized that you need to test the tool itself first before even it gives you confidence. I think that's one
Okay.
of the things that I realized, and which
Mm.
is why I think so far Apply
Mm.
Tools, which was uh, one of the best tool for visual testing. I think that's one of the tool that I've come across, which was more efficient when it comes to like implementing your visual tests or having a
Mm.
good reporting. And how, like, I think some recently they have also come across some kind of self-healing capabilities as well. So I think that's one of the tool I came across so far, but other than that I think
Okay.
I've not yet come across anything that was more efficiently helped me in any of those.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mahati, do you have something to add, like based on your personal or professional experience? Like, do you think like any of the tool or anything specific that AI has helped in the efficiency?
Uh, Now, as with regards to adoption, we have not used much in our office level, but
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
could relate some scenarios like test data generation, which is the most common one, test cases
Mm.
or test script generation. Like Parveen and Naveen mentioned, visual testing is one. And also, when it comes to I'm working on security testing. So
Mm.
when we work on security-based products, we work mostly on compliance-related thing. So
Okay.
if you see, the privacy becomes a very important concept in those scenarios. So that we, based on startups recommendation, we are using something called as AI Kavach. Kavach is like a protection wallet for our credentials, and this tool has also, this kind of thing has also been demoed on Shark Tank India, if you've seen recently. So this
Mm-hmm.
is one thing
Okay.
which I can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is like we are mostly focusing on cyber security of our
Okay.
products. We have only one product in our space, so we are focusing on the cyber security side, and this is what I can add to.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mahati. Steve or Ibronke, do you have something to add, or we can move on to the next questions? Good. Okay.
Yeah, next question.
I can add just one little thing. I guess it's not
Go ahead,
necessarily an
Steve.
AI tool, but
Mm.
something that could be leveraged and I think provides a lot of value. There's pairwise tools out there for those who aren't familiar with pairwise,
Okay.
which basically gives you the largest amount of coverage for the least amount of tests written. So it's an
Okay.
algorithm in which you plug in all of your um, simulations or items that you'd like tested. And then
Mm.
based on that, say you have 100 different permutations, how do I get the most amount of coverage with the least amount of test writing? And that's
Okay.
a great benefit of pairwise for those who haven't used it yet.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. That's a good area to implement it, of course. And thank you. So moving on to the next question, like we all know, like there is a lot of things happening, and specifically for the past 2 years, I believe, like we are talking so much, and everyone started talking about artificial intelligence. It not only for testing, right? For all the fields that they started about to talk about. So the current workforce, what do you think in terms of skill development and to adapt in this AI driven future, like as a tester, like how do you think, like what are the terms of skill development that a tester should have? Even in our from our audience also, I have a question similar to that. Like I'm assuming a lot of openings are there in the upcoming days for testing the AI tools. So how QAs can start upskilling themselves to become an AI tester? I believe we can club these two. So you can think that's a very good point. I believe even in future, like we might see roles specifically to something called AI tester. later. So we can very strongly say that we are never going to replace. We'll be never be replaced. The role is also can be called as the AI tester. That's a wonderful term to call out today. So there is a role, and what do you think? Like we as a community, testing community, should gear up, like kind of I wouldn't say defend, but just to gear up, kind of battle, or it can be a good battle, can go bad as well, right? So what are the skills or development that we can personally work on it to face this AI hype? Yeah, I think we can go with everyone. Yeah, you can start, Ibronke, then we'll go ahead with everyone. Yeah.
Okay, so I will start from the bottom up,
Mm, mm,
which is the most very common one that every QA should even have now, but
mm-hmm.
can then improve on. The first one is adaptability and continuous learning,
Okay.
right? Um, as a QA person, you cannot be fixated on the old knowledge and information that you have. You have to be ready to evolve and grow, right?
Okay.
We are moving to an AI landscape consistently, which is consistently evolving. So professionals, testers needs to stay up to date and
Okay.
embrace the advancement that is coming up with the AI technologies and methodologies. I mean, we have already cleared the hair, even from the last session, and now that AI is not coming to replace you. AI is
Mm,
here to enhance what you do. So there should be a sort of acceptance towards
okay.
it. So that's the first one. So, and that can be as much as continuous learning, taking more courses. I mean, Navin does a lot of amazing, learning on his page. I also do in my space, and a lot of people here also do. So, continuous learning, pursuing certifications as well would do a great justice. Attend workshops, conferences, event like this.
Mm,
Participate in communities. These are things that you have to be deliberate at learning. The next will be collaboration and communication skill. Steve
okay.
just answered a question in the comment section. The ability to sell your story. It's a
Mm,
skill. Again, I'm not going into technicality yet, but these are the fundamental problem that can even affect you from being
mm,
accepted on a more technical level. So collaboration and communication skill is another one. Effective communication is key.
mm,
Sharing knowledge, aligning with the stakeholders on different functional areas, and you being able to communicate and sell your concept is highly in demand. Is
okay.
highly in demand. So it's something you have to learn. Then we can now move to um, the bad guy in the room that everybody don't likes to hear, the programming and scripting skills. I mean, if you're going to be
Okay.
going into AI, you have no choice than to embrace programming and scripting. I know, yes,
Right.
you are comfortable with QA,
Mm,
but when we are talking about evolving
mm,
in a multiple landscape, you have to embrace proficiency in programming language. And we are not saying you have to learn all the programming language. You just have to pick one and be very vast at
mm,
it, because these programming language are needed for developing customizable AI-powered testing tools and even using them. Writing automation script, integrating this AI algorithm into testing workflows. You need to have a programming and scripting skills.
okay.
I will go into, say, domain knowledge expertise. So some
Okay.
people here are good with they are good with the gaming industry. Some are good with the fintech, different domains. So you have to go deep understanding of those things and know how AI can help, because not AI too would work for every domain, right? So deep understanding of testing methodologies, the practices, the industry standard would effectively affect how you're able to integrate with AI in the future. So professionals should stay up to date. Basically,
Exactly.
two more things.
Mm,
Understanding AI fundamentals. It's not enough to say, yeah, I want to do AI. I want to
mm,
test AI. You have to develop, a fundamental understanding of AI concepts. What does AI concept? What is AI algorithm? What are the techniques that are relevant to testing in AI? How does that include machine learning, the
mm,
natural language processing, the computer vision, and the predictive, all of those things?
mm,
You
mm,
cannot just stay in just, I'm a QA person, I'm just meant to test. you need to have a fundamental knowledge of AI. And lastly, which is almost something I've said over 100 times today, will be being ethical and ethically responsible with
Mm.
AI practices. Yes,
Yes.
there is an increasing acceptance of AI techniques in testing. So test professionals, testers must
Mm.
uphold ethical being responsible for AI practices, including data privacy,
Mm.
including transparency, including
Mm.
accountability. So there has to be guidelines and governance framework that would hedge these AI powered testing tools and that
Okay.
will adhere to, probably ethical standards and regulatory requirements. So yeah, there's so much to learn. Like there's
Okay.
so much that for QAs to
Okay.
develop on when it comes to AI driven testing. That's
Thank
it
you.
for
Thank
me.
you so much. Yeah. So I believe the community is taking a note of all these things that you mentioned. And that was the kind of entire wrap up of this panel discussion. You mentioned it, everything clear and crisp. Yeah. So I believe still others have something to add. Maybe over to you, Steve. Do you think any other skills to add, like upcoming, to face the
How am I supposed
upcoming
to top
AI?
that? I don't know if I can top that. That was impressive. That's gold right there.
Exactly.
Um, I think
Exactly.
if I were to attempt to, the skill, I think manual testers actually are going to do very well in this space
Mm.
in that they think a little differently than automators in how they approach testing. And if anyone here has ever used ChatGPT, you've
Mm.
had to iterate multiple times to get a desired outcome. And I think
Mm.
that's where a lot of the skills are going to come in for future
Okay.
testers is how do
Mm.
they interpret real life examples and train the
Mm.
AI to do what the desired outcome is going to be. And that's going to take a very different mindset. And I think testers in specific are going to be very well suited because we think differently. We look to break
Yeah.
things and look to explain things in a different way than your
Right.
standard engineer. I think that's going to
You're
be a
right.
very valuable skill in the future.
You're right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Steve, for adding that. Mahati, do you have something to add?
Yes. So tools come and go, technologies come and go. If last year was the year of API and accessibility testing and generative AI, this year it's completely focused on generative AI and AI based this and that. But what stays with you is your testing acumen, how you use
Mm.
AI and embrace it to solve your problems, how you
Mm.
enhance your skill set using AI, how you enrich yourself, the
Mm.
efficiency and the effectiveness of the testing processes. So,
Mm.
what will always remain in style or what is fancy is your testing skill set. So, and
Mm.
how you use these tools to your advantage and not complain or treating them as a threat to your job or something like that. So, this is my view.
Okay, exactly. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mahati. Yeah. Parveen?
Yeah, I think pretty much everyone has said so many great things, right, already. I think there's nothing more I can add. Is like everything what's been said, right? Embrace it. Like in short words, if I say embrace it and see what opportunities you have to you can have by using it,
Mm.
right? And second thing is like learn how to use it effectively by learning more prompting, like because as Steve said, right, like the more effective prompts you use, if you're using ChatGPT for as an example, you get better results, right? So it's not
Exactly.
like you just can straight away use it, right? You need to train
Yeah.
yourself a lot to get to that level, right? So that's one of the thing
Exactly.
definitely. And the other one last thing is like maybe handling data, like data analysis side of thing, because it's about lot about everything to handling with data, right? Because you need
Mm.
to learn how to say whether it's the accurate data that you're getting back, like what are the results you're getting back. So I think if you get into more training into this side of things, I think it gives you more effective way of how can you make use of AI, right? Just exactly like
Agree.
how with test automation, a lot of tools will come in place. You cannot
Mm.
learn every tool out there, so learn the basics, learn the foundations, so that you can make you like so that you can use any tool, and you can adapt it. So I think foundations again, like
Yeah.
basics and the foundations of AI is more important when it comes to learning any tool.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for emphasizing more on it. Yeah. Over to you, Naveen.
I think everyone has already covered all the great points. But my opinion, I don't see that you mentioned, right, Priscilla, that AI tester might be we can see a JD for that.
Mm.
Uh, I, I don't think so. But because you think about
Mm.
what exactly they will do, are they going
Mm.
to
Mm.
check the prompt engineering, how exactly those tools are working? End of the day, we all are testers. We have to test a specific system which
mm,
is already there, and we have to test it. We have to
mm,
use our testing skills, testing mindset, the domain knowledge, subject matter experts.
exactly.
They will come, and then a lot of collaboration and the communication is required with the stakeholders, client, customers, integration, collaboration with the other amigos there in the team. A lot of brainstorming sessions that we have to do. It's not like AI is
Exactly.
going to solve everything for us. So I think
Mm,
the basic testing fundamentals and for respect to test automation, basic programming skills are very much required. Tomorrow, if AI is fixing something, you have
mm,
to make sure that whatever is fix is done, it's really correct or not. So if you don't
mm,
understand the language, if you don't understand the things properly, then you cannot adopt that. You cannot see the
mm,
impacted areas or where exactly because of introducing of that a small script generated by or adjustment generated by or done by AI
exactly.
tool, how exactly is
Exactly.
going to impact me or impact the
Mm,
overall framework or scenarios and everything. So I think that is what
exactly.
we have to see it. But I would say start looking into these things. Still
Mm,
people are having some fancy, I mean something very fancy terms, people are still very not aware of it, like how
mm,
exactly these models work. What do you mean by machine learning?
mm,
If you're interested, try
mm,
to learn and analyze the data. Data
complete.
science is very important here. You have to train your
Mm,
AI systems. So there are two
mm,
types of users, two types of testers, in fact. One
mm,
is adopter. Like we
mm,
all are the adopters. We are not the actual contributor for the Selenium, Playwright, or some automation tools. And the
mm,
second one is actually doing the main implementation and integration with the AI in these libraries and the tools. So you
okay.
see
Yeah.
yourself where exactly your career, where
Mm,
exactly you are, where exactly your experience. If you are an adopter, if you are a consumer of these tools, you don't need to worry about the AI and everything. You start using
mm,
these tools and do your regular job with the testing. But if you are at
exactly.
this level, contributor or committer and all those things, then you have to think about how can we develop a system for this community. 90%
Okay.
people are sitting over here, and 10% people they have to think about how can I use these AI models, about all those things. Other than if you really want to a great career switch from testing to
Mm,
the data science or machine learning, you
mm,
have to learn. There are some regular courses. These things are not that straightforward the way we talk on on social media. We have to
mm,
learn the different models. You have to improve your mathematics and stats and everything. A lot of
exactly.
NLP models, some specific programming languages like Python and everything, we have to improve it
Mm,
so that we can
mm,
understand systems better and we can
mm,
test it accordingly as well in future.
exactly. Thank you. Thank you so much, Naveen. I believe we have pretty much covered the questions, and yeah, so due to the time limitation, maybe it's time to wrap it off. So, based on the current discussion that we had, we can strongly say that, of course, we cannot deny that the AI systems are evolving. Like when we comparing to the few years before, the systems are evolving, but we have to think about the human touch and where to leverage and what context that you're going to use and implement the AI. And also, as Naveen mentioned, like instead of relying totally on the result, only when you know the knowledge of verifying the output of the AI, only then you can ensure that the AI is working as expected, right? So we always say this example, like when it comes to your team member, like only when you know the work, how to do, only then you can evaluate your peers' work, right? So similar to that, like AI is kind of buddy to you. So, but you cannot trust the buddy completely. That's what we are going to conclude it. So it's all about keep up the work. It's not just we have to abandon AI. Like many companies are evolving, and many industries are even investing a lot of money in business on AI. So I would always suggest very strongly, along with our panelists, even I would always say that the basics are much more important. Learn the terminologies, else you will be lost. You will always feel like you are in some kind of maze, like if you're not learning the terminologies. So make sure that you're learning the terminologies around AI. So not just because you're a tester that it's not needed. As Naveen mentioned, there are many beautiful courses if you want to take ahead or further that you have to learn and go forward in that direction. Learn the basics, think about and think the ethical principles, whether there is a right place to implement AI, okay, and validate your output, and always strongly believe that it's not always going to replace you. Just think that it is going to help you. As our panelists were mentioning, tools will come and go, but we are here to survive and thrive, I would always say. So it was a wonderful discussion with all of you, and it was so interesting to hear all of your insights. I personally thank for all of your time and our audience as well. Thank you for being patient, and I am so happy that you were all here. And our special thanks to Lambda Test as well, as you always say that. The total love that you show towards a QA community is something which is helping us to run every day, and we feel so proud as testers because of you people exist, right? So thank you so much, Lambda Test, and for this special moment. Thank you, everyone. So I think it's time to wrap it off. Bye bye. Thank
Thank
you.
you guys. Bye. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.